So, and I can show you my screen. Actually, I'm trying to run my script, which is transferring tokens on a fresh testnet. So, Steve, I think that you haven't seen this before, so you might be interested in me explaining what's happening. So
Yeah.
basically, we had a conversation about wallet stuff. So basically, wallet functionality is to sign a transaction, which is transferring ref from one wallet to another. So basically, this transfer funds. This is the script that should be deployed and validated to transfer tokens from one wallet to another.
Okay.
This code can be changed in future.
Okay.
And how is it that you get permission to go from the from wallet?
From if you are deploying the if you are making deploy with the private key that is associated with this wallet. So basically, let's go through the code. So deployer ID. Here we have the deployer ID, and it is passed to the RevVault name. So RevVault won't give you the RevVault channel unless the deployer ID is the deployer ID of the vault owner. It will give you invalid key if you will try to deploy with the private key of the another person. So now I'm just deployed the Genesis vault. So now there is some kind of faucet to mint tokens.
Okay.
You can do this with this method of the RevVault contract, find or create Genesis vault. So I just deploy it on the validator, and this is it. Validator executed this code and validated it. So now these wallets should have tokens inside, and I can spend them. I can send them. Yeah. So check. So this is my script. Let's try to maybe. Okay, let's run it. Let's see if it is working. Okay, Rao, hi, I see you here, right? I have a bug to report, I guess.
Okay. You guys have the process for that, or what's the? You have access to Jira to report those, right?
Yeah, actually it's not been caught on the sandbox because it's just a single. I caught this on the single node installation.
Oh, I see.
And I don't know if I should show you right now. If we don't have anything urgent to do, I can make a brief.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, I mean, it's up to the group really. You can, if you want to, you can just report that in Jira. I don't know what the community wants to do. Like, are there questions that people are trying to get resolved as to how do you do this, how do you do that kind of thing? Or
Yeah, that's a we can as far as the guide, the information that Kelly indicated that the dev team needs. If we can, there's a format or a certain criteria, information that they want, and we can. And I haven't created a ticket in Jira before, so I can assist you if you need. Or have you created a ticket in Jira for the dev team before?
Yeah, I did. Like, I will create the ticket, but just to have a feeling on what this bug is about.
Right. So if the group is okay with that, I would like to understand where you think it's coming from. Do you have an idea where it's coming from or what it's doing?
Maybe it is coming from cost. It is tied with cost accounting.
Okay.
So let me remember where it is.
So this, you're running 0911, okay.
Yes, I'm running on 911. And this is the kind of broken script. I will deploy it on my local node. And this is what it looks like. So basically, the problem is in this contract.
Mm-hmm.
I just sent on this channel some dummy data, which is not actually this trying to work on this code led me to the question, where is all the
documentation for this, right?
System contract stuff and so forth and so on. So as I understand, this is a data that we should put. This is the signature and public key. So signature should be not like this. It should be well formed. And if we try to propose this,
which one?
block is created. I see here a strange message. No. Actually, this contract was not. It was executed and it shouldn't print anything, but what's this? I don't know. But this is not the bug. The bug is that after I can propose and create empty blocks. And every time now trying to propose this block with this contract, it seems like it is failing to be executed and I can propose new blocks. So I will create a ticket for this today.
To get tickets.
Sure.
Jira. Jira.
It's a Jira system.
Jira system.
It's
So
web-based.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks for going over that, NetZipper.
Yeah.
Just find out.
Let's find out.
Since cost accounting is under development, I wonder if some of those modules, the reason it's complete could be that some of them are dummy right now without the actual code, but I'm not sure. But yeah, go ahead and report that anyways. It's good for the developers to see it.
Okay. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen. So.
And perhaps after you create that ticket, if there's a a Jira ticket number that's generated. If you could post that in the Sandbox channel, I'd like to pull it up and review it and follow the ticket as well.
No testing. It's
Sure.
not. It's not a Sandbox.
Put it
Error.
in node testing. Okay, thank you.
And also pinned in the no testing channel is the item on how to report the bug, the whole process. So if you look at the pinned items in no testing, the bug reporting process is one of the items that's listed there.
Actually, I cannot see any pinned messages in the no testing channel. Oh, I see. I can. No, the last pinned messages was by Meta.
Yeah. Well, I put in the Sandbox channel. Let me see what I.
Yeah, I mean, there are
No, I
a
don't
bunch
have
of
it.
different channels there, and that's a little bit confusing. There is the public testnet Sandbox, node testing.
Jimmy, can you see?
Uh,
I don't see anything pinned.
Yeah, I made a mistake. It's in the collab.
Oh,
Our RNode runners channel.
man.
Yeah,
we need to.
we don't have to. We need somebody with permission to pin items because we can pin items in the collab.
Right.
Most of us are admins in the collab, but we can't pin items in main Discord.
Right. I can pin an item in Sandbox. That's the only thing I have access to. Now, as administrators, do we want, Jim? It sounded like you're suggesting we want to have that ability to pin items in no testing, Sandbox, and public for the three of us. Does that sound correct?
As I understood it, you could pin items everywhere or nowhere.
No. I can pin an item in Sandbox testnet, but I can't pin anywhere else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys get permission for all three.
Three of us. Okay. I'll work with Ian on that.
Maybe development also.
Yeah, right. Development as well. So, okay. So, and well, do we want and wallet? Since we're talking about wallets. Actually, I mean the list grows. So we'll start with those four: development, public testnet, Sandbox, and no testing, and then if we need, then we'll add wallet in the future.
I think it's okay to go ahead and ask for wallet also, because like you said, we will have more activity there. So just go ahead and ask for it.
Okay. Very good. Once that's done, I'll message NetZipper and Jim, to both of you, to give you a heads up on the status of that.
Hey, good morning, Gary and Tomislav and everybody else, Adil.
Good morning.
Gary, how are you feeling? You said you were under the weather. You doing okay?
Yeah, well, actually, probably not, but I'm feeling better. I've been 2 trips to the emergency room, one night in the hospital, and
wow.
Yeah, and so I hope I've got things under control again. All new meds. Things are looking better.
And you're still here. You're a
Yeah.
blockchain warrior, Gary.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're a true warrior. So, well, I hope it all is resolved and that.
Thank you, Ral and Steve.
Yep.
So Tomislav, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm preparing something that I said for the last week. So this is for rolling hour. I have a question. I was looking how to create a Genesis vault, and I was confused on something that I didn't know, that we have some kind of problem of generating offline rev address. Nadziper, do you know
Offline?
what
I just created the rev vaults on the testnet Genesis.
and what is the latest documentation for doing this?
Yeah, this is it. So actually, it is as it was, but this ID changed from the long hex string.
Okay.
Oh, this one to our chain revolt.
I see. Is there any documentation about that, or you just you're looking at the latest version of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, I was asking Rao and Chris to do some kind of walkthrough on the system processes, genesis names, or I don't know how it should be called. Everything that is exposed to the developers through the Rolang. So
nice.
So contracts that are deployed in the Genesis and some other stuff that I cannot find. For example, if I search repo, actually not every constants like this I can find in the Archain repo. So it would be nice to get an understanding where all this stuff can be created and how.
So
I know where is defined, but yeah. So, but my question is, you need to generate outside of the Roland. You need to generate from your public key. You need to generate web address, right?
So this is the library you want to use. So basically, it is like this.
Okay.
It's Python library, and you just do this.
Okay, nice.
You can get public, private keys and address out of it.
And on this wiki page, what is this in the red text? This means that this library is using this procedure, or there is another way for doing this.
Sorry, is it connected with the key generation? I'm not following.
Well, I think.
Registry is.
Or maybe I'm.
Well, I don't think, because it uses here the old crypto algo.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Is used.
Cool.
Inserting the signed con. So basically, I think this is about inserting signed contracts in the registry. So to insert contract in the registry, it should not be signed always.
Okay. Okay. I'm
or no.
Things. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. I should say that I should go in about 15 minutes, just so you folks know.
Okay, thank you.
Not Zipper, did you working on RNode API? Did you see my comment on the pull request?
Yeah, I see it, and I'm not sure. Actually,
but I was also looking implementation of Lamonet, and it's it's much simpler, and the only thing that we can add to this is TypeScript types.
yeah,
but it's much it's very nice implementation.
yeah. Lamoet's implementation is nice and much simpler.
Yeah.
And to maintain this API, RNode, maybe it have some I don't know, some more advanced functionality which is not revealed yet. But as about your comment,
well, I will definitely use it for my project because it's simpler, and types can be generated and not written manually. So I'm not sure.
What is Lamart's stuff developed in? For example, the RChain API, first of all, is it working or is it still broken, or what's the situation with that?
it's working. It's working. It's just actually, to work with the gRPC, you don't need some kind of library. You just need to figure out how to form the gRPC calls. And Lamoet just did this without any client libraries. He written this from the scratch in TypeScript, JavaScript.
Well, he uses the same loader. He uses the same gRPC for protocol communication, but also uses gRPC loader for loading prototypes. But he doesn't use. He only uses this dynamically, but in the code he has manually types. And in the RNode API, there is a mixture of two things: the static implementation and dynamic implementation. So.
Can someone link to Lamart's work here, and perhaps we should get that in some kind of a documentation for developers? I guess NotZipper, you have that going, right, for documentation for dApp developers type of thing.
It's working for the RChain community GitHub.
Right, but also is Lamart's stuff well documented at this point in time, or needs documentation, or what?
I don't think it is used only by him, as far as I know. So it's not. Maybe it's documented in the code, but there is no extensive documentation. I tried to figure out where is the Lamoet's repo.
Okay.
And the RNode API have generated documentation, so it's definitely a little better.
Okay. But Tom, you were saying that that's kind of simpler to use, and also it sounds like easier to extend, or no?
Yeah, it seems easier to fix for this version. Well, it's working for this version, and for RNode API, I don't know a complete story, but some tests are failing, right? And there is a strange behavior in this library that's used.
And do we have, I mean, is there any testing that Lamart stuff was put through?
Well, it's NotZipper is saying it's for his implementation, so I'm not sure that, it's just the initial phase.
Actually,
it has these test directory. Okay, this is the toolkit, and he has examples, and this is the running the tests.
Yeah, and tests I think are pretty basic, right? So the question is how we do integration tests. with a real running node.
Yeah.
So Toolkit is already on Archer community. So I'm not sure. Do we want to have two libraries for connection?
Well, I mean, basically, I guess at this point it's a reality, right? That there are two libraries, and I would think in a community-driven type of thing, you will see more and more of that. Somebody has an idea that this will work better, and they'll probably create something better. But I think what we need is some way for people, some way to minimize confusion for people. Maybe to say, okay, here is the relative comparison of here is what this has, here is what this has, that sort of thing. That's kind of what I was poking at to say. I mean, to a degree, I guess, whichever is the better solution gets more adopted, and then the community grows around that. And then that becomes kind of the de facto standard. But at this stage, it may be a good idea to have a little bit of comparison. Maybe Lamont already has done that in his mind, like he already looked at Archain API and said, okay, it has this or does not have this, and that's why I'm going to do my own. So he may be the best person to put some documentation, and I don't know if there's some way we can help him with that.
Yeah, the question is when we have multiple libraries, who will maintain it? So that's the question. Not should we have more? Right? That's completely fine.
Yeah.
But if Archain community pushes one library is like current, right, and this library is not working, that's the problem. This is
correct. I mean, it is good and bad in the following way. One is, if there is a better architecture with a different library, and if people are really getting behind it and then giving more feedback and then helping improve that, the one that gets less attention already kind of dies on its own, right? So
yeah, but now on the beginning, right?
Right.
If we just leave this to the community, maybe the fixes to the library will be not very often. So I want to say that we need to be more focused on updating one of these libraries, right? That will be updated.
Correct. And then I guess the question is, who would make the decision? That's a community decision, is it not? Or should it be different?
Yeah, and NetZipper already spent like a good amount of time to fix Archain API.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the question is, should we spend more time on Archain API or just combine these two somehow and have one that work?
That's a good point. I mean, do you guys have any idea of, or maybe Lamart should be part of this conversation?
Yeah, definitely NetZipper. He knows. He was working on Archain API.
Right. I'm saying, is it possible to combine the two, or are you saying from a feature perspective, you could combine?
They are using the same libraries, right?
I think, and I've already said this during the discussions on the all API stuff, maybe some months ago. The first thing is the gRPC interface. So actually, people can use this interface with whatever language they wish, and API is just a library that should expose some handy stuff to do work that is frequent. So mostly, as I understand this, all DApp developers should be available to understand what the gRPC interface is exposing first, and then if they are deciding that they don't need this kind of this part of gRPC and this part of gRPC, they need only this, they can take a library that is already doing this work. But first thing that should be exposed to the developers should be gRPC interface, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think obviously we need the gRPC interface, but in general, an app developer shouldn't need to know anything about gRPC. They should just be able to call an API with GraphQL or REST, which has ordinary variables that they would use in their application, rather than having to learn the nitty gritty of the gRCP. That's a longer term goal. I agree that gRPC, working well with the gRPC is the top priority, but for people to really do app development in our chains easily, I think they should not have to know anything about gRPC.
Well,
I agree with Jim, but in the proto files, they're like very easy to see what are the types. Right? But also the question for Nazipper, how do you mean that developers should be exposed to gRPC?
they should have the
types. Or?
No, they should be, when they are asking a question, how do I develop on the R chain, they should have a nice documentation on the gRPC interface. Like they are expecting to have a nice documentation on RESTful interface, maybe in some kind of there are a lot of tools that are making the RESTful interfaces looks nice. There are not a lot of tools that makes gRPC interface looks nice, but from the like level from the gRPC and RESTful is like on the one level. So on top of this, you can build libraries, client libraries on top of REST interface, on top of gRPC interface that are doing some kind of stuff that is used frequently. So this is my understanding on how all these layers are sitting on top of each other.
I see. Yeah, but it also would be nice to have some kind of open API, for example, or GraphQL that hides gRPC, but you have all the types from protocol.
Yeah, I tried to do an open API RESTful conversion from the gRPC, but the problem is with either stuff. There is an either, every call is returning either, that is rolling either, and you cannot load the open API generated from the gRPC into Swagger or any open API reader and get a nice output because of the either.
Yeah. I was thinking that we need some kind of transformation before giving this input to this converter for.
Yeah, I started working on some kind of reverse proxy that should translate gRPC calls into OpenAPI RESTful calls, but it would be nice to have such thing. But then I figure out that it looks like some other crypto projects are moving from RESTful interfaces to gRPC interfaces because gRPC is more efficient. So I wonder.
It's like a temporary.
Yeah. So RESTful is a kind of good, well exposed, but gRPC in the end is the better way to build your dApp. So
especially if you have gRPC inside the browser.
Inside what?
Inside the browser.
Yeah.
When you have browser support.
Yes. So
given what you just said, I'm wondering, you mentioned that there are some tools for gRPC, but not a whole lot. Does it make sense to plug into or use any of those tools to make it easy for dApp developers to kind of reduce the burden of learning the gRPC interface?
Yeah, I didn't find any tool that can be used right now. So there is only one GUI that looks nice, but it is only desktop. So I didn't find any solution to expose nicely the gRPC in the GUI.
Yeah.
And that's why we should have well-documented protobuf files. There was an effort by Dan Conley. He documented the protobuf files, as I can understand from the commit history on the protobuf files. But looks like it can be done maybe better, maybe it should be maintained so people know that this is actually the root of their integration with the RChain. Everything is starting with the gRPC, and if they don't want to get familiar with the gRPC, they can try to use some client libraries, and if they find things that they're looking for here, they can leave gRPC and just use library.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that if we just will expose these libraries, people will think that this is the entry point of the RChain API. But actually, entry point that is exposed is the gRPC interface, and people can do much more with it, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is no fast way to show this gRPC in a nice way, except maybe paying more attention to documentation of the protobuf files.
So Narzip, I guess I'm wondering, should we start like Jira tickets on the documentation needed for dApp developers? Meaning you're doing what you're able to do, but then it sounds like there's some that needs to be done, some outside that needs to be done closer to the development team, right? I think is what you're suggesting. Can we just start putting tickets for that, so that when we get whoever is the right person or the resource frees up, we can see who is willing to take that on and then plow down that list?
The code is in GitHub, so I would enter the issues in GitHub, not in Jira.
Okay.
Although
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, let's just kind of put in all the requirements at least, so that when we get somebody willing to work on those things or is able to work on those things, then at least they have a punch list to go through to say, okay, if I do this, the dApp developers will be happy, right?
Yeah, this makes sense.
Because I know many of the things you asked for in the channel, we don't have documentation for. And meaning it's probably in all different states, right? There is some in the code, some outdated documentation somewhere, there's some design spec somewhere. So we really need to bring it all together and say, okay, here is the current state of this, and this is how it works. So let's start ticketing. To me, it really doesn't matter too much whether it's in GitHub or Jira. But let's start ticketing and the technical documentation work, and then let's see how we address that backlog once we get to that.
And maybe we can have this information on developers page. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because here's the manual how you run your node, and here's the how you connect to your node. So this should be like two things that you can see it together.
Right. Right. Does it make sense to everybody?
Yeah, that was a good point that Tavislav. I'm taking notes on a lot of this. So, I may, so I'm to keep track. And Raul, you made a good point about, the governance and how these types of decisions are going to be made. So I think back to, the governance working group, soon to be the governance committee, which they kind of delegate these responsibilities to other working groups and committees. And I think that the dApp developer working group would be, when it becomes a committee, would be a good decision-making body to work through these types of issues in items. Either that or the R-Chain Improvement Process Committee when that forms. Jim, do you have any thoughts or insights to that from a governance perspective?
Well, I think there's multiple stakeholders, but we want to engage the public, in an open source effort. I think the app developers are key stakeholders, as are the main developers. To some extent, when you have these issues, in some cases, you're going to want to form a task force, which includes different stakeholders. But having the items under a decentralized system like GitHub or Jira, I guess, for the engaging the open source community, GitHub may be a little better. And having a lead person on assigned to these issues and to report on them and to move them forward.
Okay. So, right. So you meant, as a community, open source effort, there's multiple stakeholders, but I guess the concern was, like we said earlier, there's two libraries, and which library do we need to develop, and who's, how is that decision going to be made, and which one to go with? If it's, you have multiple stakeholders, then you're going to have multiple people doing, multiple efforts in different directions. In order to, be focused, my thought is that there'd be a body that kind of helps to make that determination, so people aren't reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, if we have a budget to work on these things, then it becomes, part of the developer group. We don't have a budget. The DApp developers are the ones that have to do it for themselves, and they would be the lead people on it. Ultimately, it's the individual who decides that they're going to work on it that makes the decision.
Okay.
But we can, we want to make recommendations. This is what we hope somebody does.
Gotcha. So, well, I guess that's what I was looking for. So, the DApp developer working group is there to give a guiding hand, but ultimately, hey, it's the developers and the community, whatever they want to do, run with it. We can just only provide, some guidance. Okay. So that's, that helps me.
So NetZipper may have already seen this, but I'm just going to share a screen here with, there's this thing on GitHub called gRPC ecosystem. And I put the link in the chat also. But this one has some GUI tools.
Yeah,
I don't know if
they're pretty ugly. All of
they're
them.
ugly. Okay. So anyways, I just wanted to highlight that there is effort, I guess, to make gRPC more user-friendly that this website, the gRPC ecosystem, is trying to do. But so I'll stop sharing.
Rao, any thoughts on when we'll be moving into testnet 2?
Sorry, I was talking while muted. The There are some things, no, I guess the quick answer is no on that right now, but stuff is being tested, and I think we're making progress. So we should be able to have something, like I said in the public debrief, before the end of the sprint is kind of what we're shooting for. But exact date, I don't know right now.
Okay, thank you.
Nazi, but did you think about some kind of proxy, just like Envoy, to expose HTTP directly from gRPC? Nazi, but if you're talking, you're muted.
No, I didn't. I think he had to leave in 15 minutes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, or early on, so he's probably didn't drop off his session.
There is like a HTTP proxy to gRPC, which does this automatic conversion. So probably HTTP interface is not very nice with these automatic conversions, but maybe we can write on top of that some kind of very thin library.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem with the HTTP is that gRPC exposed either. So in the end, it turned that HTTP request is returned either, and we don't know what is inside of it. So even if we are kind of exposing RESTful interface, it returns either, and all the calls are returning the same. So it's not really helping.
Okay, you're talking about a proxy like Envoy.
Yeah, yeah. And there is indeed gRPC in that GitHub. In that GitHub, there is a efforts to convert the gRPC to the HTTP. So I tried this, and it all turned out that either is a problem here.
This is very strange. Because either should be like a regular type with two properties.
Maybe I did this wrong way, but in the end, the ending point that is returned by the HTTP endpoint was either, and not either converted into some big structure that is exposed.
Because I was thinking that maybe validator can expose in this way HTTP connection to so that dApps can connect directly from the browser.
Yeah, maybe there is something special to the Archain protobuf. Maybe it may be rewritten in some way, so it can be, the conversion will be handy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I didn't investigate it. Yeah, thank you.
I will take a look at that. Yeah, yeah. Because then we can expose this proxy, for example, in Sandbox, and you can connect directly from browser.
I have a question. I mean, there seems to be some concerns about security with gRPC. You guys have any thoughts on how we improve that?
How do you mean? What type of security?
I was just kind of scanning the web generally, and they're basically saying that, well, there's you can use the what is it, TSL or something with gRPC. Let me go back to that link, see if I can find it.
Keep in mind that you're sending your signed, for example, for deploy, you're sending your signed transaction, right? So in that sense, you're already secured with encryption. But maybe you want to be secure like in SSL or.
Okay. So basically, you're saying there's not any major concerns with the security of the protocol?
I don't think that there's some security problem greater than for SSL.
Okay.
Because on top of that, there should be some kind of encrypted communication.
Right. Yeah.
Each of these protocols, I think, have encrypted and non-encrypted, like HTTP and HTTPS, or for WebSockets, VS or VSS.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the question is, do we want to have only one way to connect?
I guess what you're suggesting, basically, with the proxy, you get direct access to the gRPC, right?
Yeah, or it could be even better that you can have like that you can plug in to RNode and directly consume rolling data and expose whatever you like. Because now you're using gRPC and then convert to something else. But,
So
why this conversion?
was your question about only one way to connect? Are you saying should we do gRPC and some other method of connecting, or are you talking about the libraries about gRPC?
Well, I'm really talking about capability to plug in different libraries, because now gRPC included inside RNode, right? It's not the like separate thing that's developed outside. So I'm thinking that maybe in the future we can have like more options to connect.
And how would you do that? But like, how would you do that outside gRPC to go to RNode data directly?
With some kind of FFI, or which can be accessible inside the rolling. Because now inside the rolling you cannot get any other resources except standard output.
Okay. Well, if you have desires like that, you should probably open ticket as a feature request or a desire in the GitHub or somewhere, and explain.
Well, my demo was about that.
About that, okay.
Yeah, with HTTP.
Okay.
Yeah, this is for the future. After we resolve this connection with the gRPC.
Right. So Gary, you are you feeling well enough to get started on your random programs, or still under the weather for that?
Yeah, I'm thinking seriously about it. I'm getting a lot of good ideas. Just give me your thoughts on what type of say routines that you would like to see. Are you wanting different type of operations, or are you just wanting random things running all the time?
So actually, the rest of the group here may be in a better position to comment on that. So I'd like for them to chip in on that question, on answering that question. So I did say one thing in the Discord channel about, is there a way to somehow in the random generation put a limit or make sure that we don't have infinite loops? And I think the quick answer is probably no. So I guess that was one thing I was wondering about, if there is a way to constrain the randomness such that it is not an infinite loop. But beyond that, I'm kind of, run whatever you can run on there.
Okay, that's what I was hoping. And yeah, I've got some things running now that we could probably run through robot or something just to get processes called and strings printed and things exercised.
Right. I mean, the reason I'm saying about the infinite loop is that, I mean, theoretically, when there is a gas, quote unquote, a gas cost to running these things, the infinite loop should be automatically killed.
Right.
But that may not always be true, like if we're doing promotions or something like that. So I think we have to see, I guess we could still restrict resources. Even if it's a promotion, we could still restrict resources. It's not infinite. We're not going to just let them run. It's just that higher limits is what we're going to do with the promotions, perhaps. Does anybody else have any idea to Gary's question, either Jim or Tomislav or Natsep or anybody, or Steve? You're muted, Jim. Oh.
What was the question again?
No, Gary was asking what kind of things would be productive to run on with the random generation. Gary, if you want to repeat your question, I guess Jim.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking for maybe a direction to go in with these things. And I'm thinking of just printing random messages and little poems and things like that, and then trying to just to show that processes are constantly being kicked off, and I don't know that we have to do it all in Rolang. We can do it in scripts, and I just have these scripts firing off things left and right.
I'm not sure what you mean there. I mean, you want to be generating row line, and I guess there could be certain patterns that you want to generate. I mean, you could consider cells. Okay. So you have the basic generators. On the definition of the language is going to produce pretty much garbage. I don't know it's going to be very useful.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we just had a direction of what kind of things would be useful. I'm thinking, Jim, we just start things running and let people give us feedback on what would be more or less useful.
Yeah, and I think you could be guided by some patterns that are used in programming.
Okay. Yeah.
So that you put in, you're writing a generative system.
Yes.
And so when you see these patterns, like storing a variable and accessing it, you can put in generative stuff that'll generate stuff that does stuff like that.
All right. Okay. I'm getting a feeling for what we want to do. We just want to exercise and try to hit a lot of different types of patterns that we expect to see, and look for things that slow it down or break it or whatever.
Yeah, right. I mean, basically, if you take the kind of patterns, if let's say there's a list of patterns like Jim was talking about, and then you will run some random combination of those in each and see what the system does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the reason I'm asking for that is to create programs that do something sensible takes a lot of work, right? I mean, you have to work through the whole thing and logic and say, okay, is this the right thing or not? Where the random generation helps us is it still stresses the system, but without us having to stress ourselves in terms of completing the
We
work.
don't want to be stressing ourselves mentally coming up with these things. Just let with a grammar generator create bunches of patterns that should run, and then look for things that are problematic.
Right. I'm curious, either Tomislav, Steve, or Narzipper, you guys have any thoughts on this?
So you're talking about like
fun, huh?
Well, we don't.
creating a rolling term or a program that you want to test, right?
That is correct. Yeah, random Rolang program, or randomly generating a Rolang program that can be run against the system. Basically, I mean, it's kind of like fuzzing, but
yeah, it's a program synthesis, but which is very hard topic. So, but when you test something and then you generate some kind of code, yeah, maybe it's if you just want to know it will break the system or not, then maybe you have the answer. But if you really want to test, you really want to know what program exactly is doing. Right?
correct. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is only for does it break the system or not. This is not for accuracy of the results, because with a random generation, there's no way we can say what is accurate. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to say, is there some combination or sequence of operations that will either gum up the system or break it or do something? That sort of a thing is what we're trying to catch.
I definitely see if a program has some kind of cycle, it will not end. In that case, we need some. We will definitely get to this limit of you're spending all the reps. Your contract will somehow must stop, right? Because you don't have enough reps. So if we don't include this in our testing, right? If you have like an infinite number of tokens, well, you can do different things, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe we could put like a large rev as the limit, which I don't know again how without cost accounting being there now, I don't know how that would work. But yeah, we can for now just start running the programs, and I guess kill them if it's taken too long and it's not telling us anything new. So.
When you say kill them, how do you mean?
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is, let's say you've been running it for a day or two or whatever, and the program is still not ending, and it's not giving us any new information in the logs, because the sandbox and everything has logs, that kind of a thing. So I think if something is an infinite loop type of thing, we will be able to see it in there.
Yeah, but in that case, what does it mean? You need to restart the whole network.
Possibly, and with Sandbox, that's the expectation, right? You may have to restart it as needed. So
in that case, we can have some kind of harness to simplify this, because we can write these contracts and test it, without to restart the whole network. We can have some kind of flag that each round will check, and you can send some data and just kill the program.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. So what's your recommendation on it? And would you be willing to work on that harness to be able to say, let's run something for long enough that will detect the problems, but not too long that everything else is blocked purposelessly?
what I'm saying is that you don't, in that case, you don't run your program directly, right? You send it to some other contract that will run it, you know, in some kind of, you know, another sandbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or well, this is not completely possible, right? Without injecting something. So you will deploy your contract, but you will call some other check, you know, inside your code that you can just, you know, exit your program.
Okay, so can we?
Yeah, I'm willing to think about.
Right. Yeah. So if you think about it, can we like maybe have a work session to kind of wrap Gary's random generated programs inside something, or like you said, have a communication with another contract, such that we are quickly generating diversity of testing, but not necessarily enough diversity and enough time to collect data, but not necessarily just do the same thing mindlessly for a long time. Yeah. Okay, so that'll be great. So if we can have of course we have the Tuesday session, but if not, it's up to Gary and you. I would very much like to participate in that session, and anybody else that wants to participate.
Yeah, I'd like
to say how do we structure this so that we can collect information without and make it useful to the developers. So
I'd like to join as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, actually, everybody that's here is a good group to get started with. I think everybody can contribute to that.
So we have our Tuesday session. So that's certainly an option.
Yes.
What's everyone else's thoughts on when to get together?
Yeah, if Gary wants to pull that session together sooner, or if Tomislav can complete his thinking sooner.
Yeah.
So whatever. I'm not aware of this Tuesday session. So this is like a new testing or.
Yeah, Jim, I guess you need to add Tomislav to the Tuesday session. Same time, same room.
This is the same as today, right?
Right, same time and room as today, but Tuesdays. We added the extra session because we wanted to increase the community testing on the platform.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I think Tuesday's session is in Jim's room, if I'm not mistaken.
I think we put them both in the same room now. We have browse room set up so that I can manage it if necessary.
Okay.
For consistency, this I guess was an official co-op room because I guess.
Yeah, I mean, basically, this is published in some other. Not just the Discord channels, but there is the wiki pages that are available to everybody. So we just wanted to keep it consistent.
And this is recorded and put on the co-ops channel.
Right. So
as opposed to the Divi channel.
Right. Thursday sessions are recorded. We haven't made a decision about the Tuesday ones yet. But if we want to, we can keep Tuesday sessions as working sessions for now. And then go from there.
So I think, so Tomislav is not available on Tuesday. What would be an alternative for a working session?
Did Tomislav say he's not available on Tuesday?
Well, I will see. I will try to join. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, gentlemen, and obviously Gary or whoever can initiate a faster or different time for a working session if you want to, whenever you're ready, Gary.
Okay, but I'm more flexible. Assuming my health improves, I'm more flexible than most here, so I'm willing to work around anybody's schedule.
Right. So I'll offer the same thing to Tomislav. Tomislav, like if Saturdays or something works better for you, and if you just want to call a session, that's fine too.
Okay. I'll try to do it.
All right, gentlemen. I think does anybody else have any? Does anybody have anything else, or if not, we can close the meeting. What?
Yeah, I think the rolling hours started 9 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. Of course, nobody's there yet, but
Okay, I will be there in a minute.
Okay, sounds good.
Now you will join also, Nancy, but I would like to something to show. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So we just switch rooms. Oh, you know what? Let me see. I think I had, I offered this hour to the developers, but let me see if anybody's claiming anything. If not, I can join at least for a little bit and then drop off.
okay.
So
Well, if you
that's
can
in
make it,
Jim's room?
we'll see you in my room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See you
Bye
guys.
bye.